You know, we're people with a mind now, and that's where we're moving, to make our own decisions.
What a land code does is it basically takes down some sections of the Indian Act that relate to land management, and it allows the community to prepare a law which replaces the Indian Act.
Yes, it is important for us to have control over our land. Right now we have to beg, ask permission to do stuff with our own resources, where when we have our own control, we'll be able to make these decisions on our own and control our own destiny.
After being held down for so long and not able to make any of our own decisions, it's about time that we have a voice.
It is essentially a mechanism that would enable us as First Nations, Kitsumkalum band members, to make decisions on our land as opposed to waiting for decisions to be made in Ottawa.
What land code means to me as an Aboriginal woman is giving us the authority to move forward with decision making that's from the heart of the community.
You do what the land code says, you just don't go do whatever you want. You have the community involved in making the decisions so they have an ownership on it.
How you want to develop the land, how you want to protect the land, that becomes basically the jurisdiction and the control of the nation. But it's specific to reserve lands, and that's a point I need to make clear.
I like to be out on the land and stuff like that, and there are cultural features that are out in the land that through the land code we may be able to protect.
Well, there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming out of having this kind of control within our community.
The land code process started in the 1990s, and I think there's probably considerable build-up because there's a lot of frustration with working under the Indian Act. It can be complicated, it can take a long time, and there's a lot of transitions there with staff, so it's pretty tough to deal with. So people were frustrated, nations were frustrated, and so they approached the government and said, there's got to be a better way. We need control over our lands and natural resources. We want the lawmaking power. We want to create our own standards. They should be ours. This is our land, and we want funding to do this. So that basically culminated into an agreement between those original nations and Canada, and that laid out the process for communities to follow. And the process involves preparing your land code, and that's your law replacing the Indian Act. Having a land code is important to communities for a lot of different reasons, and communities themselves, can determine why it's the most significant to them. With our committee, we've learned a lot about how it could help economic development, and it does that because in not dealing with the government and dealing internally, it becomes a community-based approach. And you don't have to rely on other people. The minister doesn't have to decide how to use the land. It shouldn't be the minister, it should be the people in the community that make this decision. So for economic development, it can make things easier and also just better understood.
As there is a vote coming up very shortly about whether to ratify this land code and so forth to bring it on the nation, I feel that is very important that people come out and get informed to make an informed decision about what we can do on our land.
We're always trying to make it easier for people to learn more, so I really encourage you to check out the website, come to some of our community events. I'm available. I work at out of the Economic Development Office, so come and talk to me. That would be great. The committee as well, like I said, it's made up of 7 community members, so don't hesitate to ask them questions.
I wanted to be able to look at my grandchildren in the eyes and say that I played a role in this. I did what I needed to do to ensure that our cultural perspective was included in the black and white document that needs to be signed off on. I needed to look at the next generation and say, I did my part respectfully, truthfully, and with the values that was taught to me as a child, that I in turn pass it on to the next generation, because it's their footprints that will be walking the land, and I need to do it in a right, respectful way. Thank you.